Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello. Ooh, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Um yeah, so I got the new blog. Now I'm done with that Christian Science Hinduism, hopefully, for now. Christian Science Hinduism.blogspot.com is pretty much done. That took me a while, it wasn't perfect. Really hard blog to write because it involved complicated things and I might have made some mistakes and different kinds of things. Um, but anyway, I have a new one, Hindu Judeo Freemasonry.blogspot.com. And this one is more about trying to show that there's this spiritual union that's coming between Hinduism and Judaism and how that's dangerous. And yes,
Sorry, Vincent. I had to take a call and I have to do something quickly, and then I'll be back. Just give me a minute,
okay.
okay?
Well, just hold on 1 second because I need to use the bathroom. Um, yes. So the new blog discusses that union between Judaism and Hinduism, but also to show that it's kind of more of like a spiritual union too, not just a political union that they're trying to make. And I
I'm
remember,
back.
yes. Well, the thing is that I was telling you that now they're moving into this spiritual union between Judaism and Hinduism, unfortunately. And
I mean, who is even doing it? How can any rabbi say this? I mean,
well,
they
Claire,
must be
I
so completely disorganized.
I think
It's
no,
like,
but I think there's two things going on. Number one, I think these concepts are more complicated than you would like to accept that they are. And I think I think that on a more complicated level, maybe there are similarities between Hinduism and Judaism in a very complicated way. And
yeah,
also,
it's mumbo. Look, yes, I mean, you can say that infinity is a single concept, but infinity is a concept that contains many as well as a singularity. So, um, what what is obvious is that the government is going to change our beliefs again, and they're going to give us some mumbo jumbo that some people will love, and that's what they're going to do.
yeah, but
And
you're questioning these rabbis, and I'm just saying that first of all, maybe it is more complicated than you would like to think, and there are similarities there that are being exploited. But also, maybe they're just very clever and know that this is a very good way to, you know, um, subvert people.
okay, we don't know who is subverting whom, but obviously we don't want people lying to us about the truth. And what is the truth? That's always controversial because the truth is what isn't in dispute, and what these days isn't in dispute. But it should be obvious, if you understand anything about Jews and Judaism and idolatry, is that you're not supposed to worship idols. And over the centuries, they've just diluted this principle because of Christianity, because Christianity is yes and no religion.
Well, if not college, if Nourish Not Naresh. What is it? Naresh Kalia?
Yeah. Yes.
Um,
The Hindu.
yes. Well, if God is one and God does not take material shape, then that confuses the matter, doesn't it?
Yeah, but Hinduism isn't an organized religion.
Neither is Judaism,
Really,
really. I mean, well, Judaism is more organized, but
no, no, it's disorganized. That's the whole thing. One of the things I remember Jen Shah saying was that she didn't like me calling her beliefs Hinduism because it was it was just a collective noun that the British imperialists gave to the religions of the peoples of the Indus Valley. And it's just a collective noun. I mean, obviously, the British knew that, that there was no central authority and different Indians believe different things. But they had to give th- these religions a name, and they said Hinduism. But it's not just it's not just the
yeah,
Vedas.
but
It's
there's commonalities there. Like, I mean, there's almost nobody. There's very little Hinduism without the Vedas. I mean, it's not like it's. There are books that are central. I mean, you need the Vedas basically for it to work.
well, I mean, in what sense can you be calling a religion working that it's got temples and it's got people who make sacrifices to these idols, and probably these people have never read the Vedas, and there is
But
no central authority.
there's no
Unlike
central authority in Islam either. But I mean, the Vedas
but
are.
okay, the top authority in any Muslim country would be, the emir or a caliph. They have
Yeah,
one.
but there's no religious like central body like the Vatican of Islam.
Well, exactly. So basically, for each Muslim country, uh, they have their own national supreme authority. So
Well, you could have a
in Iran,
national
it would be
supreme
the
Hindu
supreme
authority
leader.
too. You could have a
Hmm?
national supreme Hindu authority too. I mean, you could have a national supreme,
Okay, so is there one?
but you could make one. I mean, it's not that
They haven't
difficult.
even made one.
Well, so what? I mean, I don't know if you're just
It's not
claiming,
even worth thinking about.
Claire. You
And
always
this
say
this
this. Just me. You're disinterested, and so it's pointless. And you always do this. Anything that you haven't thought of, or you haven't come up with, or thought about, is a pointless topic to you.
I'm saying that it has no
Hinduism is a
legitimate
growing religion.
authority, and you just want to cram everything into, oh, because some rotten rabbis are saying X, Y, and Z. It has authority, and you're saying, oh, no, nobody's opposing it because yeah, it's so peripheral that nobody even thinks to oppose it.
Yeah, well, then if you're not worried about the peripheral, then you're not a very intelligent person because that's just you're not thinking long term.
I am thinking long term,
No,
and
you never think long term. Everything is immediate gratification with you. Secular Quranism now, and the rabbis are going too slow, and their plans to subvert people slowly are bad. And
okay. So what is the point of endlessly fretting about these fucktards. Basically, nobody
well,
accepts
they
their
have a lot more
authority.
power than
That
you
okay, there
do.
will be, Hindus who kind of want to, suck up to rabbis and rabbis who want to suck up to Hindus, but ultimately they're not making any progress until Western governments are saying, hey, Westerners, we're going to sell you this religion because obviously you don't believe in the crap of Christianity. So how about this? We've got the scientific religion, it's rabbinically approved and blah 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 blah, crap 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 crap.
Not
And
everything is government. There's groundwork. There's the general population. People reading books. People starting book clubs. Not everything is top down government control of religion.
okay, so yes, so various people in various countries will have their odd ideas about religion and thinking about, blending one religion with another. So what? There'll always be people like
Okay,
that.
well, they can take off and cause problems, and it's better to just notice what's going on.
Yes, yes, and I'm saying there is a solution. If I don't know, do you want this sort of thing to happen? Do you want Judaism to blend with Vedantism and stuff like
Well,
that?
it's already happening, but I mean, the thing is that I do and I don't. I mean, I think it's good and it's bad in that it spreads the Jews' agenda so people will wake up faster, but it also, will put people to sleep at the same time a little bit because, they won't it sounds like, oh, Hinduism and Judaism together, the best of both worlds.
Okay, so I mean, we actually know somebody who's like that.
Well, I mean,
Duvid.
people well, Duvid, there's the word Hindu exists for a reason because there's a million Hindus that, Jews that become Hindus and Hindus that become Jews. I mean, that's an actual, I think, I don't know if Duvid calls himself a Hindu, but, um, but
Okay, but Duvid, he's wanting to be an authority on everything. It's like,
well, but the
yeah,
point is
you can
that
call
that's
me
not what he's
rabbi,
doing is
and you
not
can.
that unique. What he's doing is not that unique, the blending of Judaism and Hinduism. He didn't come
Yes,
up
and
with
I'm saying it's dangerous. I'm agreeing with you that it's dangerous. And its danger is that you're getting some blend and you think it's all right, but maybe it's poisonous. And why don't you just choose the real thing
well,
instead of
because
blending it
Islam
and
doesn't
thinking you know
well, because
better?
Islam doesn't offer any kind of like Kabbalah. Okay, so it doesn't offer what the Kabbalah and Vedanta offer, and you're just saying, well, don't ask those questions. And just because you don't ask them doesn't mean other people.
Sorry. Okay, what do you think the Kabbalah offers? Is there something you want from Kabbalah?
The no, the I don't care about. Look, I'm not very big on questioning what is consciousness and how do I unite with God in my conscious mind, and these types of deep philosophical questions, but Kabbalah and Vedanta say that they answer these things, and people are going to grasp for that.
Yeah, so really, you're talking about spirituality, aren't you?
Well, no, consciousness. I think it goes even deeper into not spirituality. I mean, I think that's more like Islam spirituality, but like actual like the structure of consciousness and things like that. Islam
Yeah,
doesn't.
what does it even mean? What kind of people ask themselves this question? What is consciousness? People like David, people like Jen,
Okay,
pretentious, suits.
okay,
They ask these
not there's a
questions.
lot of people that ask themselves these questions.
Okay, what is the point of asking? We know what conscious is.
No, well,
It's like,
not
oh, we're aware
like
of
well,
things
you're
around
just
us. We're
okay. Well,
sentient.
all
So
throughout
what?
all throughout history, people have asked this question, and you're just saying, well, stop asking the question. And
Yeah, because it's dumb.
well, Clara, I don't think you're going to win just by telling people who have had a question since the beginning of time that they're
Yeah,
dumb.
but what is the point of asking what is consciousness? Look up the dictionary and you have your definition. So,
Well,
what is the
very
purpose of
complicated.
asking this dumb question
These people,
other than to waste time?
these people are very complicated. I mean, these consciousness is very complicated, and lots of questions get arisen from it. And
Such as,
well, I don't even know the type of questions because
why are you entertaining all this rubbish? I mean, you were saying to me earlier that you're concerned that by the time you're old, your country will be a
no, but
horrible
no,
mess
I
with
know
the stupid.
I'm not like that. But what I'm saying, it does bother me because other people are like that, and too many people are like that, and a lot of those people have a disproportionate amount of influence because they do tend to be the intelligentsia and the rich, and the people who have time on their hands to go to India and study these things, and they do have a just the professors and things like that, and it has a disproportionate amount of power and people are getting, attracted to this.
Yes, so you need to have ready, prepared arguments
Well,
against
no,
this
no,
nonsense.
you're just telling me to tell them that they're dumb and to stop asking these questions, and I'm
No,
actually,
no, no.
you know,
Yeah, I'm going to insult them and say these are dumb questions. Where are you going with this? And they'll also shut up pretty quickly. Um,
think so. I don't think
so
you can shut up. I don't think you could
Okay,
shut
okay, they'll just avoid me and go and talk about their nonsense somewhere else.
No, well, you're
But
not actually challenging them, Claire. You're not saying, "Oh, your definition of consciousness is not right because of this logical and this logical and that logical." And like you're
no, I'm
not
saying it's a dumb question. Where are you going with this? You're just wasting time. You're just pseuds wanting to waste everybody else's time.
what
I
are
mean,
you what
everybody
did
knows
you
what
call them?
consciousness is. What's your next question? Why are you
Soothed?
even asking this question?
What's a soothe?
Pseudo, fake, a fake intellectual asking dumb questions to waste time and draw attention to themselves. Basically, narcissists. A pseudo intellectual.
Well, lots of college professors talk about Advaita Vedanta, and you could be an intellectual and talk about Kabbalah and Vedanta. There is intellectualism there, and like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
does.
Okay, there are all sorts of people who say, "Oh, let's merge Confucius with Kant and crap like that," and the mediocrities. I know them, and they're not going anywhere. They just want to publish a paper on Kant and Confucius or whatever. That they're just trying to be original. And they're not going anywhere because if you ask them the next question, they don't want to stick their necks out. They don't want to, actually ask questions that, with political implications in case it gets them into trouble. There's so many people like that. And they can't explain themselves properly, so it's easier to shoot them down. Okay, I think
I
you
don't
just
know,
want to talk
Claire.
about these things because you I
Well,
think it's
because I
displacement
see the
therapy.
I see the what?
It's
I
displacement therapy
I
for you.
I
Because on
I
the one hand, you're actually worried about where your country is going. On the other hand, you're wasting, time
I
wondering.
it's no, I'm not wondering these things. I'm recognizing that other people wondering these things, and people are offering them something to ponder that's not good. And so that's
Exactly, and you can easily shoot them down.
no, I have to shoot them down on their own territory. I just can't call them dumb and say think about something else. That's not going to work.
Okay, so if somebody wants to merge Hinduism with Judaism with Masonry, um, well, they're not going to succeed.
Well, they're getting help and they're getting somewhere, and there's scholarly papers.
Who is getting anywhere in all this crap anyway?
Well, I'm just saying that the scholarly papers are coming out, and
The
they
papers are dime a dozen.
okay. Well, then lots of people are thinking about this, and so it's gaining popularity somewhere. You know,
Okay,
I'm never going to be like you where I only care if it's on CNN or BBC. I do care about the beginning. I mean, the Jehovah's Witnesses started very tiny. They didn't, and or anyone, even Islam didn't start very huge, or Judaism or any of these religions.
yeah, I'm not against people who are small. I'm just
No, but
saying
you just
there must be
dismiss anything.
utility to what you are
You
offering.
dismiss anything in its infancy, and you don't even start collecting data on it. You just said, I'm just going to totally ignore this infant.
I'm not ignoring it. I have considered it, and it's rubbish, and would appeal to only pseuds and the credulous, and I have arguments to
Are
dismiss them.
I don't think these people are, some of these people are very highly educated people, Claire. I mean,
What, like Duvid?
well, more educated than Duvid. I'm talking about, professors and things like that. And, some of these people, and yes, I do think Vedanta and Kabbalah are more interesting to people who have more education. I think that if you have more than a high school diploma, you're more likely to get involved in Vedanta and Kabbalah. You know what I mean? I think the more intellectual you are, the more likely you are to be drawn in by these things.
Yeah, but it doesn't get you anywhere if you want a religion.
Well,
Because they're two different religions,
okay,
A
if
and
you have if
and
you have this plus the Noahide laws, you have a very good, robust religion because you have the rules, but then you have the philosophy that might be more enriching than the philosophy of Islam or secular Quranism, because it not only offers a set of laws, but it offers spirituality.
And spirituality is the desire for justice, which can only be
And there,
satisfied by giving people justice, which means by
it goes
fixing their
deeper.
political system and making sure that
It
their
goes
rulers are not
back
incompetent
there.
and corrupt.
Justice is not the only thing about spirituality. I mean, you have very simple needs and you just expect everyone else to, and you dismiss anyone whose needs are more complicated.
Okay, so what is it do you think people want apart from feeling good and safe and protected and whatever? I
I
mean,
don't know. Well, I don't need more than that, but it seems that the vast majority of the human race does need more than
yeah,
that.
so A, they want their societies to be well run. They want their society to be a meritocracy, and the people who deserve to suffer and the people who are doing well deserve to do well, and that good will be rewarded and evil punished. What objection do you have for this simple statement of the basic spiritual needs of people? What
But
else do
it
they
goes
want?
well. I don't know, but I know they want things that are so complicated. I don't even know what questions they're asking.
They don't
But
even know what they want, or maybe
I
that they're
think
just,
that, well, they at least think
looking
that
at
they
everything
do.
else apart from Islam because they're Islamophobes. So call them out on
Well,
it.
yes, but if Islam is not answering these questions for them, they're going to reach for Kabbalah and
Yeah,
Vedanta.
well, I can answer their questions, provided they
And
formulate them, and
no,
just ask
no,
dumb questions.
you're just going to tell them their questions on consciousness are retarded, and that does not.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
like what? Go and look up a dictionary if you don't know what consciousness
Claire,
means.
I mean, Claire, I don't know everything about consciousness, but I know that there's deeper questions than you can find in Merriam-Webster. Merriam-Webster is not going to answer every question you have on.
Okay, so what's the next question?
I don't know, but they have them. Go ask them. I don't know. I mean,
I mean, can you give me a name of people asking dumb questions like that?
well, obviously Juvid is, but and Jen Scharf is, and what's his name? Gandalf the White was, and these type of people, and for every one of them, there's a million more people that are watching them. So yes, there is an interest in this kind of thing, and for someone who doesn't have any followers, you shouldn't be so dismissive of other people's audiences and things like that. You shouldn't be so dismissive of other people's ideas gaining traction.
Okay, I shouldn't dismiss people who just like to hear long lectures about nothing because they like mumbo jumbo and hocus pocus,
Well, it's very
and
complicated mumbo jumbo and hocus pocus, and you know,
which you don't even understand, which you said more than a few times already.
yeah. But that doesn't mean that. First of all, that just because I don't understand it doesn't mean I can't see that other people aren't thinking that they're understanding it and thinking in certain ways and being taken in by it. That doesn't mean that I can't see that.
Could it just be that you've tried all the wrong ways and you're just looking for new wrong ways to try to
What do
put
you mean?
off the evil day?
I'm looking to say other people's ways are wrong. I'm not looking for a new wrong way to try. I'm saying that Vedanta and Kabbalah is not what it's all cracked up to be.
Well, I didn't know that anybody was bigging it up anyway. You're the one bigging it up and saying it's
Claire,
significant.
you don't even like. I was a Hindu for 10 years. There's almost a billion Hindus on earth. The discussion about Vedanta is not unknown. You're acting like nobody on earth talks
Okay,
about.
just tell me something about Vedanta and how wonderful it is and why
I'm
people.
not the one who's promoting that. I'm saying other people are doing it and I'm trying to oppose it. And the way I tried to oppose it is I went on their own terms and I said, look, if you believe in these yoga sutras and what they say, then you should have these mystical powers. Here's the logic behind it. Here's the logical metaphysical structure about why you should get to these mystical powers. Why don't you have them? Because your structure, your logic system is incorrect. I didn't just you know, dismiss it. I had to go in and actually prove my position, right? And you just don't even care to do that.
Well, I've spoken with Jen Sharp long enough to know that, she just
No, but
likes talking
I
her
don't think you even
pseudo intellectual stuff.
I don't think that you defeated her position though. I don't think you just did anything like that. I think yeah, you just probably just got dismissive with her, and you know,
Well, she won't talk to me and she blocks me, so, well, I guess, you know, she lost the argument.
well, I
When
don't.
people behave like that, I think
Well,
that's
you
what
have,
they do.
and
Well, she hasn't got a big idea. She just hates mine and doesn't want to talk to me, so I guess she knows she's lost the argument. So I don't mind.
I did actually talk to my therapist about you. We talked about you. Did I tell you that?
Oh, no! Well,
Yeah, we
you
did.
tell.
I told him about because we were talking about, you know, you know, uh, he's Mr. Positive Thinking and stuff like that. And, he doesn't like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't like, I am unpopular. Like, the fact that I admit that is not a bad thing. And, he doesn't like me saying that. And, blah, blah, blah. And whatever, whatever, whatever. And then I brought you up and I said, she's even worse than I am. I said, I get thrown out of everywhere. But I said, this woman, Claire Call, everybody blocks her. I mean, I'm just like everybody is like so scared of her and they don't let her on their channels and they don't let her in their groups and they do campaigns to not let her on other people's shows and things like that. And he said that it was because you're stuck on a single epiphany. I gave him I gave him a rundown of what secular Quran is, and he said, "Oh, he said she's stuck on a particular epiphany and won't move on, and that's a
Mhm.
problem."
Okay.
That's what he said, which I don't
Well,
really know what that's supposed to mean or why necessarily that's a bad thing.
well, people say things, like, instead of saying somebody's principle, they say they're fanatical. I was actually thinking of monomania, which is another thing I've also been accused of. But I guess if he's a therapist, he might use that word. But I mean, obviously, I have to promote secular Quranism as if I believed in it because I mean, that's the only way to show that I mean business. And that's why I will keep asking people why they have a problem with it. And the answer always seems to be, well, what do you expect from us Islamophobes? So, and I guess my response is, well, can you cure yourself from your Islamophobia then? Because
Well,
you really need a religion. And then I guess the
okay,
answer
well,
is, oh, but we can we you know we it doesn't have to be
okay,
Islam or secular Quranism. It could be Vedanta, and what not. I'm just imagining this conversation that I might have with the people who are keen on the things that you keep wanting to talk about, such as Judeo, Hindu, whatever.
well,
So and
well,
then my answer is that, well, you're obviously, gonna try all the wrong ways first. You already know that Judaism isn't gonna work, and neither is Christianity or Hinduism or Buddhism, and now you're trying weird combos of Judaism and Hinduism, and maybe Judaism and Buddhism, like Eliot, and then
okay, well, as a person who doesn't want that to happen, you should be more invested in actually parsing apart their arguments. And you know what I mean? I think a smart Muslim would actually look at this and be fearful and say, oh my God, I have to meet them on their own terms and I have to, like, go in and parse this apart and not just call them
I've
fools.
already done it.
No, you don't even
I've just
understand
explained why
Vedanta.
they're
How
doing
would you
it.
how would you I've never heard you disprove Vedanta or come up with any kind of. I mean, I don't even think you understand it enough to parse it apart and make.
Okay, what are the claims of Vedanta?
They're so complicated that I don't even understand them.
Yeah, okay. So I guess, I'll never find anybody prepared to discuss it with me. And if they were, they're going to just sound so pretentious and
Look,
abstract that
just
nobody will care what they say anyway.
well, a lots of people. If you look up Vedanta on YouTube, you'll find millions of videos that have, millions of views. So people care about Vedanta.
Okay, I'll look at the Wikipedia entry again. But I mean, okay, so Vedanta comes from the Vedas, yes?
Yes,
It's
Vedanta comes from the Vedas, but I don't even think that we can, just like, no, just proving that your consciousness and God's consciousness are the same consciousness, and I think, and how they're connected, and the mechanics of how they're connected, and why do you experience life this way, and blah 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 blah, and it seeks to answer a lot of like questions like that.
oh yeah, so people can or yoga teachers can sell their yoga lessons.
Well, it's very alluring, and I don't think that your response to it is very intellectual.
Well, I think it's intellectual enough because I'm just arguing with the yoga teachers. I can do that, okay?
No, I don't think you can argue yoga. I don't think that your understanding of yoga is sophisticated enough in order to break it down. That's why I started Christian Science Hinduism.blogspot.com, because I said this is too complicated for people to parse apart themselves. So you have to go to its logical conclusions. Can you heal the sick and raise the dead? No, you can't. So, maybe it's more difficult to believe, but I knew very well that not even I can't argue Vedanta. I'm not trained enough in Vedanta to even argue it, but I did find stuff that showed that it's not the same as quantum physics and all this other kind of stuff that they're claiming. I did find what I had to find in order to disprove it in the best way I could. At least I tried.
Well, nobody's even asking you to disprove it.
Of
You
course,
know, you,
of course, people who are promoting Vedanta are going to say, "Well, we have the most scientific religion, and you can't, you're not even smart enough to parse it apart." So
no, because it's like, well, what does your religion offer? And then they'll have to,
it offers.
display their wares and we can examine them.
Well, it
I
has
mean,
to offer. I think it gives people a certain degree of peace somehow, and a feeling of well-being. I don't know how it works, but people feel very calmed and relaxed and soothed by these teachings.
yeah, when they do, I mean, that yoga is a relaxation technique, isn't it? So,
Well, but it's more than that. It's more than just a technique. It's a philosophy, and the philosophy also makes you feel less apprehensive.
yeah. I mean, you could take psychotropic drugs, you could take recreational drugs, you can
But this is
take up a
different.
hobby.
This is different than no. This is an actual way of thinking that makes you feel more soothed. You know what I mean? Like it's a philosophy of life that can make you feel good, like you're on drugs without being on drugs, which makes it even more dangerous. You know what I mean? And I'm just saying that I try to find some way in order to parse it apart, even though I'm not trained enough. You have to learn Vedanta and yoga for 12 years before you can even whatever. And it's something, but it is taking root and it is taking hold. And if I were in charge of America, I would have a bureau in investigating it and disputing it. And, you just wouldn't even go that far with it and would just, bulldoze right over it and say, I don't know. I mean, I don't, you wouldn't, yes, if I were in charge, I would have a bureau to dissect it and negate it. I care about.
Okay, and I'm saying by doing that, you're bigging it up when really you should be dismissing it.
No, I think that's a very anti-intellectual approach to it.
Intellectual, you don't want to. Well, you don't want to have any more. You don't want to have rivals
Oh,
to
well,
your.
it's a rival whether you ignore it or not, and so
Well, the thing is, well, nobody has even argued the case for it. They're just sort of writing boring papers,
yeah,
and
okay, that
not
those
even
papers are an
proposing
argument.
anything.
Those papers are an argument for the case, and people do argue for Vedanta, and it's so close to quantum physics that even physicists are falling for Vedanta, and so it
But
matters.
okay, you can't even explain what this thing that's saying.
Just
It's
because
not a
I
political
can,
force. It's well, nobody can, and it's
yes,
not
they
a
can.
political
They
force.
can if you're educated enough to understand what they're talking about, and you're a college professor. Yes, you could fall for it.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, I just refuse to talk about it anymore. Okay, I'll leave you to it. It's just a waste of time, and it's obviously some kind of displacement therapy because you don't want to actually do real world politics and get on with the nitty gritty of real
I
life
do, but
politics.
excuse me, it is real world politics to try to disprove an enemy. That is real world
Well,
politics.
there's nobody. You can't even name a name of anybody proposing
Well, we already
we
said
part.
Juvid and Jen
They're
and
not doing
Gandalf the
anything. They're just
White.
flapping their lips.
Okay, well, the thing is that you said I can't name anyone, and I mean, without even looking for anyone, there's three of them
Yeah,
in our
but they're not
circle.
political activists. They're
So, but
just
they're still promoting these ideologies, and it goes way
yeah,
beyond.
because they're suits.
And then all you can do is find, lots of papers on it. That's why I started Hindu Judeo Freemasonry.blogspot in order to show how many papers there are on combining
There are all
Kabbalah.
kinds of rubbish papers about all kinds of things
Okay,
that
it
don't
shows that
matter.
people are thinking about this and that college professors or
The only thing that
intellectuals.
matters is the political religion that is Islam. I mean, nobody's seriously saying, "Oh, perhaps we should become Buddhists or Hindus," or you know. I mean, okay, there
It is
are some people who
seriously.
say let's
Okay,
use
Claire, I think
Christianity
you're out of the
again.
loop. I think that you just whatever doesn't interest you, you don't look into it and how many people are into it, and you just don't even
There's
recognize.
nobody into it except you.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of people. I didn't write all those papers or make those videos
Yeah,
on.
but all kinds of people write about all kinds of things,
Okay, well then
and
I'm
it
not the only one. This is the thing.
but
You
no,
just
but they're not making it into a political ideology,
well, just
are they? These people are just writing papers because they're academics, and academics
okay.
publish
Well, they
papers.
have more authority than you do, so
Don't they're not even proposing anything. They're not even
they're
interested in
proposing.
politics.
There's more to life than politics, Claire.
Okay, I thought you were a political activist.
I am, but I know that there's more to politics, and I know that a philosophy can cause problems in politics, and it's adjacent. It makes it, this would, this union of Judaism and Hinduism would only give Hinduism a boost, and I could see how if it's coupled with the Noahide laws, well, then it is political because you have the Noahide laws plus the system of philosophy that makes people feel good, and the two go together quite well, and that would at least be some kind of um something that's political.
Okay, so we're going to say, well, I mean, okay, what the purpose of these beliefs is to get people to do stuff and defend the principles of their chosen moral system. And if people don't even know what these principles are, they're not going to defend them. So Jews and Muslims have have it easy in the sense that even non-Jews and non-Muslims know what the principles of Judaism and Islam are. So they have such an identity that people recognize what a Muslim would believe, and what their God is called, and what they you know must never eat, i.e. pork, and these. characteristics of their identity are so firm in people's minds. So people will have heard of these religions. So it is really the most important religion because it's like, oh, so it's kind of like Jews and Gentiles having a fight in Israel. And that narrative can be easily understood
Okay, Claire,
in political as well as religious terms.
you just dismiss anyone who has a different interest than you do, and like you just just don't want to. You're like, it was like talking to Emo Monk. He said, I said, okay, well, if you believe in yoga, which he might or might not, because he's one, now he doesn't really believe in certain things so that he doesn't need to answer questions about it because, all of a sudden he doesn't really care. But the point was that he doesn't, when it comes to defending the idea that yoga would lead to magic powers, well, he says, well, I just don't care about that subject, so I'm not going to address it. That's his new thing. That it just doesn't interest him, so he doesn't care, if people believe him or not.
Yeah,
And
because he isn't a political activist. He just wants your attention. He
yeah, but
wants
you're
us
doing
to.
the same thing. You're saying I'm not interested, and so I just don't even care to, debate you on this. And that's, now it totally ended the thing, and I don't have respect for him for saying that to me, that he just doesn't care about the subject now after fighting.
Why don't you talk to people who are interested in
Well, he
politics instead of
Well, he was
losers
interested in
like
this
him?
was more philosophy, and the thing is that he was interested until I actually, got to the point, and I said, "Well, where are these, magic powers?" And his whole, he's doing the same thing that, but I'm just not interested in the topic, and you know what I mean, like and that doesn't make him win or look like well. He's just doing what you're doing. He's just dismissing me because, it doesn't, he doesn't care.
Yeah, because you know,
Well, he doesn't care now all of a sudden because it's difficult to care. And I think that you have the same problem where it would be difficult for you if you actually did care about this. And, it would be
well, I
difficult.
think it's a waste of time. I suppose I just want to get on with things that actually matter. And you're just bigging this thing up when it's nothing at all, like the no hide laws.
Just because I know you only care when like it's Walmart and it's taken over already. I mean, you only care when the cancer is like terminal and has a control over your body. I mean, you're just saying, oh, this little minuscule like dot of cancer, don't worry about it.
No, I'm saying that the arguments for rabbinically guided no-hidism can be easily dismissed. It's
According
not
to
like,
you.
oh, it's got these
Okay, well then
two.
why are there more Noahites than secular Quranists, even though you've been doing this for 13 years?
No-hides are basically Islamophobes.
No, they're
So,
not. They have a stronger principle, and they say idolatry shouldn't be practiced at all,
yeah,
ever,
well, I find that
under
that
any.
that that they're basically, pretty stupid, and
No,
they
they
hate Muslims, and that's why they
maybe
prefer
they
to
hate
be
Muslims
rabbinically
because it's,
guided than interpret the Quran for themselves.
yeah, because the Quran is maybe too liberal for them.
No, I don't think they would even dream of reading the Quran because they're such Islamophobes. So that's their problem. They're
No, I'm
stupid.
sure I'm sure there's a Noahide who first looked into Islam and then found Noahide.
Why, I've never met one.
Okay,
And
well,
and
are
they're
you saying
pretty.
that between 50,000 and 500,000 people, not one of them ever read the Quran that's now a Noahide? Not one?
Well, I don't know. I haven't met any, and they
So
seem to
you're
be,
saying that
pretty flaky
you
people to
think
me.
you think that out of, well, let's say there's 100,000 Noahides in the world. So you're saying that not one of them has read the Quran.
Of course, I can't. I'm not saying that, but I haven't come into contact with them, and the ones
I
that I've come into
I've never
contact
come
with are
in contact.
pretty,
You
pretty
don't even
dumb.
you don't even search out Noahides, and then
I
you say I've
do.
never.
I'm a member of many of these no-hide groups,
Yeah,
and
well, you
they're
don't
just
talk to them, and just
stupid.
you just say they're dumb. You don't engage with them. You don't talk to them. You just ignore them because they're
No, I have engaged with
annoying.
one, and he's clearly an Islamophobe, and he tries to talk like a Jew, like that John Gischler. It's a lot of snobbery. Basically, the white people who have a certain respect for Jews because they think, oh, Jews have been around for longer than us and have been living in our country for quite a while, and we're used to them. Ooh, who are these horrible Muslims from those shit old Muslim countries? It's just that,
Okay,
really.
no, Claire, some people have deeper convictions than that. I mean, some people have, you know, beliefs that aren't yours, and just because they're not yours doesn't mean that they're not taking them seriously or don't really believe it or don't care. I mean,
Well, if
people.
they cared enough, they'd argue, but they usually fade away very quickly. But okay, I'll let you continue your lecture. Were you going to lecture us on Hindu Judeo Freemasonry? Have you gone quiet? Can't hear anything now.
Hello?
Yes, I'm still here.
Um, just because somebody has different convictions than you doesn't mean that they're not being honest or don't care or that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, I've made the argument and you're just saying, well, your whole argument is that God would make a less strict version for the Gentiles, and I just don't believe that.
Well, there is a verse in the Quran that says God will not burden a soul with more than it can bear.
Yeah, well,
It's got all the answers,
it doesn't.
and
It just
you're just
doesn't make
determined to
sense.
reject it. I
It
know.
doesn't make sense that he would make that particular law so much more lenient for the Gentiles when it's really the worst sin you can do. It just doesn't make sense.
No, but look, I've already explained to you that obviously he gives us free will, and some of us will pretend to be Muslim and not follow the rules, or Christian and not follow the rules, or Jews and not follow the rules,
Yeah,
and
well,
and
under no
that
high
is
law,
hypocrisy
you're
for which
forced
we
to
will
follow
be
the rules.
punished.
Haven't you thought that some people want to force you to follow the rules and don't want to give you the choice?
No, the whole bargain between the Abrahamic God and humanity is that I've given you freedom of belief,
No, only the
or
Gentiles. He doesn't do that with the Jews, so he made it different for the Gentiles because the Gentiles aren't as good, and the Gentiles can't do it, and only the Jews can do it, and that's kind of degrading. So,
Oh, well, actually, Jews can't escape it. It's like, well, I don't want to be a Jew. I'll just not be a Jew and convert to some religion, and
well, the
then
thing is that
in
the Jewish revelation hasn't been negated, and Jews don't have to convert to Islam to be saved. And some of them say, well, we just rather stay here and we're going above and beyond Sharia anyway, so we're not doing anything wrong. And the thing is that people are just going to say, well, God said, the Gentiles just aren't up to it. You're just not up to it, Gentiles.
not up to what?
Not up to keeping idolatry out of your nation.
No, because idolatry can also be hidden
I
idolatry,
know you.
and a
I know.
lot of harm has been
I
caused
know. I
by
don't. I
Jews
don't
and
fall for
Muslims.
that. That's not Noahide thinking, where you get in trouble whether you practice. It doesn't matter if you're worshiping idols in your head. Nobody cares about that.
No, it's not actually worshipping idols
Or
in
whatever
people's.
you're doing in your head, or whatever you're doing that's not bowing before an idol, using something else that you're doing that's hidden and unknowable to other people, and equating it with an outward action is very slippery and slimy.
But the point is that there will be people who know what they're supposed to do, but don't do it for whatever reason.
Okay, that's different than practicing idolatry.
Yeah, this is hidden idolatry.
Okay, well,
All
hidden
these Jews and all
not
these Muslims
forbidden.
who don't do the right thing,
Okay,
even though
well,
they must know what the right thing is. The ones I keep encountering.
okay, well then kill people for hidden idolatry too. Then I don't know what
No,
to tell
because
you.
the Quran doesn't allow you to kill
Yeah,
people for
well, then the Quran is
idolatry.
wrong. Then the Quran obviously is a watered
No,
down.
because
It's
I don't.
watered
Do
down.
you really want to repeal the First Amendment?
If
Is
I
that really
believe
what it
in the
boils down
Abrahamic
to?
God, then yes. If I don't, the reason I don't want to is because if I don't believe in the Abrahamic God, but it just, if I did, then that would be the way to go. Yes.
Oh, okay. So you're saying if you did believe in God, you would repeal the First Amendment,
Yes, if I did.
and would you be repealing it as a Jew or a Christian or a
As a
Noahide?
Noahide, I would be repealing it as a Noahide.
Okay, and but Noahides are under, they just have to be rabbinically guided, right?
Yeah, I know that's your whole thing. I mean, that's your biggest. That's the all you have against it, and it's just you talk about pride and snobbery, and your thing is like, well, I don't want to be rabbinically guided, and I'm so much better.
Because to be rightly guided by the Quran is better.
Yeah, this is just circular reasoning, like you know what I mean. Like,
It's not. It's saying one option is
well,
better than the other. How can it be
The Quran is
circular?
going to guide you to tolerate idolatry. So maybe I'm not interested in tolerating idolatry.
The problem with idolatry is that it means that you're not following the Quran. That's all it means.
No,
So
idolatry
there are people who
idolatry
are not
existed.
Muslim who don't follow the Quran, but there
uh,
are also people who are Muslim who don't follow the Quran.
Idolatry existed before the Quran. So to say that idolatry just means not following the Quran, it's nonsense. There was a definition of idolatry before Muhammad ever came into existence.
Yes, there was idolatry when the moment the Torah was given to Moses, and right, would you agree with that?
Yes, idolatry is an actual act that you can engage in outside disobeying the Quran. I mean, idolatry is an actual act you can engage in, and that is what is illegal, and that is what you are trying to make legal.
Well, yes, for Gentiles, because
Well, that sounds
I like the First Amendment.
well, okay. You liking the First Amendment doesn't sound like a basis for repealing anti-idolatry laws. Just doesn't sound like a reason.
Well, I'm going to
Clerical,
use chapter 2, verse
Clerical likes the
256
First
of the
Amendment.
Quran to support the First Amendment.
Change the will of God. Claire likes the First Amendment. Like,
Yeah, and God supports the First Amendment with chapter 2, verse 256, which says there is no
well,
compulsion in
I
belief.
just, as a person, if I did believe in the Abrahamic God, I just don't believe he would have overturned and just allowed that. I just doesn't seem like something he would allow. So I would just reject it. Just reject it. It doesn't make sense.
Well, people already say, before I ever said it, that Islam is Judaism light.
Okay, Judah. Yeah, well, maybe light is bad. Maybe people don't want light. You know what I
Well,
mean?
you haven't spoken to anybody,
Well,
because
more
I can't
people want
imagine any
Noahidism
modern
and
person
secular
saying,
Quranism.
actually, I prefer you to execute idolaters and blasphemers. I'm sure they would be, happy that, well, if they're American in particular, that they can keep the
Well,
First
obviously, people
Amendment.
who have converted to Noahidism believe that. So, and there's more of
Yeah,
that.
do these people who convert to Noahidism actually know that breaking any of the Noahide laws attracts a death penalty? Do they
Well,
even know
there's
that?
Jews that admit that on YouTube. I mean, of course they know that. They know that. They're not dumb.
I think they are.
No, they're not dumb. That's
I
what they
can't find anyone,
you
though.
you've never even surveyed Noahides to ask if they don't know. So you're saying that 100,000 people on Earth don't know that execution is part of the Noahide laws. They never read that.
Probably.
100,000. Let's just say there's a
Yeah, I
hundred
don't know.
thousand.
I don't know how informed they are. They seem very stupid to me.
How is it that anyone who's read a book on the Noahide laws has read about at least punishments, if not execution, and just nobody knows about this? It's just this total anomaly that no one's ever heard of. And almost every anti-Noahide who ever talks about the Noahide laws knows about them, and Noahides don't know about them. That sounds absurd. Non-Noahides know about it, but not the Noahides.
Um, Obviously, the people who are anti-Noahide will, assume the worst.
Yeah,
And the
well, they
people who
know
are
about
Noahides
it.
probably weren't told by rabbis that breaking them would attract the death penalty.
Hey, you think a Noahide never listened to a rabbi give a speech about that, like the
Well, I
non-Noah?
don't know if any rabbis actually say that,
Yes,
apart from Rabbi Mizrahi.
yeah. Well, what Adam Green has shown rabbis that say it. So, other rabbis who say, and I've read in literature produced by Jews that admit it. Yes, I've read it in other places, not just Rabbi Mizrahi. There's other rabbis.
Okay, can you think of a Noahide who's your Facebook friend off the
I
top
don't
of your
talk to
head?
them like that. I see them in all the Facebook groups. I know that there's hundreds, there's more than 100,000 of them on Earth, but I don't go and ask them. I don't search them all down and say, "Excuse me, do you know about the attracting penalties for breaking the Noahide laws? Excuse me, do you know about this? Excuse me, do you know about that?" Like, I just read the literature that the rabbis are pumping into them, and I know what the rabbis are saying at least.
Okay, I don't think they even take it seriously. They think, oh yeah, some theoretical death penalty. It doesn't affect us.
Well, it wouldn't. It doesn't apply until the majority of the population is Noahide, and then yes, it does apply.
Okay, but I guess we're so far away from that nobody who even considers himself to be a Noahide even thinks that he's in any danger of being executed, or anyone is, because
That's
it's
not
so
the point.
remote.
Now
It's
you're
so
changing.
remote.
Now you're changing. Before it was no Noahides know about the punishments, and now they're not worried about it. Like, what is it, Claire?
Okay, it's one or the other.
Well, of course they don't care about it because I mean they don't care because they don't care if it was happening. That's why they don't care. If you care if it was happening, you're going to care that it's being prepared for.
Okay, I'm saying they think it's so remote that
Well, they don't
they.
want it to be that remote. I mean, they're working towards it.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't know what they think. I mean, all the ones I talk to are stupid or crazy.
you just throw that word and you think that makes you win the argument by insulting
No, okay.
people.
You don't know any sensible no-hides that you can talk to. So, apart from John Gesheler, who was a no-hide, and then he became a Jew, and then he gave that up to be a Muslim. So, it seems like the path he followed will be the path for Western no-hides. Because, he only converted to Islam in order to marry his wife, who's Muslim. So I guess, for practical reasons, Western men will convert to Islam if they want a wife.
Well, let's see. Let's see. I hope not.
Okay, maybe people don't convert for the principle of the thing. If you dangle before them a woman or a spouse, then probably they will.
Mm.
Well, I had a good conversation with this Christian nationalist, as it happens, yesterday on the space.
And what did he say?
He actually wants to. He wants to pass a Christian amendment, which I'm not sure if he actually knows it will repeal the First Amendment. But I didn't want to push it too hard. But I hope, I'll speak to him again. And he gave me two leads for Christian nationalist tweeters. I thought you were scared of things going so badly that when you're old, your country will be in a state of collapse. So I don't know why you are kind of dragging your feet about all this.
I don't necessarily think secular Quranism is what's going to relieve that. I mean,
okay, so what you're doing now is, I have to look up every single little cult in the hope that it will beat secular Quranism.
No, that's not what I
just realized what you're trying to do.
I get every single cult. I'm fighting every single cult. I'm not promoting these cults over secular Quranism.
Well, if you tried, you would succeed. Because you have no argument. You don't even understand the mumbo jumbo they want you to believe in.
Well, but I'm not trying, so that's a moot point.
Well, that's a relief.
Well, I'm not even trying, so what's the point of even bringing that up?
Well, I would have thought you want to do something more constructive and practical to prevent your country coming into a state of collapse when you're older.
Okay, well, I'm questioning. Okay, I do lots of things, but I ask lots of questions and write blogs on lots of different things and do lots of different things, and this is only one of them. So, I mean, you think it's a waste of time, but I mean, it's not all I do. I have, other things too.
Okay. Well, don't let me distract you then.
Okay, well, you've been very dismissive of other people's
Well, okay, I dismiss people's ideas, and they can come back and say, how dare you dismiss me? I've got all these principles and beliefs and these systems and whatever, and my systems are better than yours. I mean, that's why that would be a reasonable expectation, but all I get is silence. So I guess I will just have to go and pick a fight with some Muslim or something, because nobody else is up to the job.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you go because I have to go soon anyway. Oh, she left.